Welcome back to Bold Moves. We are so glad that you are with us. We got Corey and Kristen in the house today. Are you guys excited to be here? Are we doing this? All right. Today we're talking about how important it is to focus. And that might not seem like a bold move that you have to make, but the reality is, I think it's absolutely true. The old adage that if the devil can't make you bad, he'll make you busy. And so that option one, I'm going to try to make you bad. Option two, if I can't make you bad, I'm just going to distract you. And that's why focus is so important. Does anybody resonate with that at all? Anybody feeling that in your lives?
I think the devil with me just has to stop it bad. We're good.
You have to get to the busy part.
Nope. It's like, nope, I'm out.
That's right.
That's hilarious. He's like, option one is working just fine with Kristen.
I know she'll stay home, and so I just got to make her bad. That's it.
It's so funny. Good. What's funny about, well, it's not funny. Like, honestly, what's devastating about that truth in our lives is that if we don't stay focused on Jesus, if we don't stay focused on the mission that he has given us, good things can actually become distractions that take us out of that path or off that path that God is calling us to. And it doesn't even have to be something bad in your life. It's just taking your focus off of what is most important.
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
That's the principle in Hebrews 12, right?
That's exactly right. Yes.
Let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles.
Yes.
Like, I get the sin that so easily entangles part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But everything that hinders, that means that there are things that can weigh us down, that can get in our way, that can distract us, that are not even sinful.
Yes. Yeah. And that's where it's so frustrating, because that's where the idea and the importance of focus, it becomes so central today. Preceding that in Hebrews 12, it just says, let us keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. Like, don't take your eyes off him. Why? Because he is the one who initiates and perfects our faith. Like, it is all about Jesus. If I'm not chasing Jesus first, that's what everything else has to flow out of. That's where I get myself in trouble.
Yeah.
And the devil is very good at what he does. He's been doing this for a long time, distracting humanity since the beginning. It started with getting Eve to eat the fruit, and he's just gotten much better at the bag of tricks from there. And the distractions that we face in life that take our focus off of Jesus, I don't think we circle that enough intentionally of realizing, I have things that aren't bad things in my life. They're actually good things. I just have them in the wrong priority. I'm focusing on the wrong things. And that's a big deal across life. Like, if you're struggling with focusing like on things at work, you're not going to be getting your jobs done on time. You're not going to be a good teammate and collaborating with projects, things of that nature. You're going to deal with more anxiety, more stress, because you're not living focus. Not having focus is much more than just a spiritual problem. Like, that's going to be a negative in your life and your relationships anyway. But focusing on Jesus first and foremost is the most important thing. We were laughing about this earlier. I think we have a video clip of just the ultimate distraction when it comes to free throws. I'm a big college basketball fan. I know you are too.
Oh, yeah.
Kristen, big college basketball fan?
I just like basketball.
Hey! And you played when you were younger a lot of basketball. I remember that story.
One season.
Yeah, no, they loved you.
My parents made me finish the season.
Okay, so it was like that. Awesome. Yeah. The reality is, in basketball specifically, I think in the college world, the fans go extra crazy, just distracting. And sometimes people become famous for how they distract people in college circles.
Is that all the setup we need for this?
Corey, tell us a little bit about this, because you love this one. You love this.
Okay, so this is, I don't know, it's probably 20 years old by now.
It is, but it's legendary.
Duke and North Carolina, huge rivalry. Biggest rivalry in college basketball. And North Carolina is playing at Duke.
Which is a crazy fan base.
Cameron Indoor Stadium. It's an incredible venue, and it's already just nuts. And then something like this happens.
This is so good. Let's see what happens. Guy's shooting his free throw, and you'll see the guy in the background emerging in a Speedo to the side. It's fantastic.
Just keep watching. Yep. Already made him miss one.
This became legendary because of like the Sports Center special that followed this, where they interviewed everyone involved. Watch what this guy does in his Speedo. He gets everybody to sit down so that all attention can be given to him. And he just starts dancing in his Speedo.
Oh my gosh.
And he missed both free throws. He missed
Speedo
both free
guy.
throws.
Speedo guy.
The legend of Speedo guy was born.
20 years later, and we're still talking about it. Really, that's pretty crazy.
There was literally a whole documentary of it done. It's like 3 minutes long, but on Sports Center, like interviewing everybody involved. And the guy shooting the free throws was like, "Yeah, I saw him. He was in my mind."
You just know that they then had a meeting Monday morning about proper attire for fans.
They had new rules in place after that, right? The hilarious thing about that interview was that they interviewed the guy who did it, the Speedo guy, and he said that his goal was that out of the crowd he would bloom like a flower. That's how he described it.
He did not.
So good. It's so good.
And they had video footage of him like shedding his coat or whatever, just coming right straight out. It was awesome. You should go watch it.
It's the perfect distraction. Honestly, it ranks up there with the videos of the guys with air horns at golf courses where the guys in his backswing they throw their clubs. It's fantastic. I don't know why those things are so funny to me. I'm laughing at other people's expense, but that's always been wildly amusing to me.
Yeah.
A flaw of my character.
Just wait to see if there's an air horn this Sunday.
Great. Now we've planted that idea and everybody listening. That's fantastic.
Just
okay,
as
good.
Tim's about to wrap
Kristen.
up his message, has the most important point of the entire day.
Do we tell the story of the fire alarm with Michelle?
I think we have to. Yes, Kristen, tell us everything.
Away the focus. Well, we were baptizing.
We were. The most important thing we were doing in the weekend. Yes.
And all of a sudden the fire alarm goes off.
Yep.
And it was Michelle leaned up against the wall. And
right by the Baptist, where we were baptizing people, and the alarm goes off. Yeah. So nobody knew what to do. Do we leave? Do we evacuate?
We
Is there
kept
fire?
going.
Yeah, we just kept dunking people. We had water in the tank if we needed it. If there was a fire, there was water.
We found out really quickly there aren't that many people at Crossroads who know how to turn the fire alarm off. That's what we found out.
That was one of the few moments in my life I've ever seen Ralph Tubbs full sprint. Like, wow. It was like 6 miles an hour.
Actually, Dana turned it off, didn't she?
Yes, because she knows how to do that. From being the preschool director. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's hilarious.
Save the day.
Honestly, all these talks about being distracted us from what we were actually talking about. See how it works? See how it happens? We're victims. We're victims right now of lack of focus. So the whole point is, man, we're supposed to keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. The devil knows that. And he's trying to tempt us. He's trying to do everything he can to trip us up. And if he can't get us that way, he's just going to try to fill our life with so many other distractions that it eventually takes our eyes off of Jesus. And suddenly, really, without even realizing it, you can be years down the road and realize, I've not been living my life on purpose. I've not been living my life intentionally focused on Jesus. And it does. It slowly takes you off the path that he calls you to. Yep. And that's how the devil gets you. And suddenly, you're feeling beaten down. You don't have any margin. Your schedule is completely packed. And the thing that gets crowded out is your time with Jesus and the focus that we're to be spending on building our relationship with him.
And doesn't it trickle down from something small? It always starts with something small, right? So, like recently, I'm ashamed to admit this, but like,
no, here we go.
Our phones are such distractions, aren't they?
So 100%.
I remember this was recent. I'm sitting on my couch. I have my phone in my hand, and my daughter, like I hear her in the back of my mind. She's over here. She's saying, "Daddy,
yes,
Daddy," and I'm like, Yeah, but I'm looking at my phone.
Right.
I'm scrolling through whatever dumb thing I thought was important at the time. And she like came and got in my face, said, "Daddy." And I felt so terrible. I'm like, I did not give you my full attention. My focus was someplace else. And that happens more often than I think I'd like to admit. And honestly, it's little things. So you do that a couple times here and there. It builds bigger and bigger and bigger.
It can create a whole divide you never intended.
Oh, absolutely. You end up in a place in life that you just didn't ever envision for yourself.
Yeah.
And it's taking control of that and focus. We just said it. Focus is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
When I was in college, many people know this, many people don't. I was actually a psychology major. That's what I majored in. So, I've been, watching you guys and taking it all in. I know everything about you. I've analyzed everything. I know all your weaknesses.
Are we having one-on-one meetings after this?
You don't have to tell me. I already know. So, no, one of the big things that our professors would talk about was perspective. And I've used this before at Crossroads. My favorite professor's name was Dr. Richter, but he talked like this. This was exactly what his voice sounded like. And he'd say, "Class, there's power in perspective. There's power in perspective." That's what he would do all the time. And I would mock him like that. And my whole class would laugh at me mocking him. And I don't know how I was favorite because I was openly mocking him the whole time, but it worked somehow. But there's power in perspective and what you are focusing on, like, what you are choosing to make the most important thing, it absolutely matters, because in life, what we learned in these psychology classes, which is pretty basic when you look back at it, is that you can only focus on so many things. Like the rule of thumb was 7 plus or minus 2, which is funny. Like, can we just say 5 to 9 things? But no, 7 plus or minus 2 things. Like, there are only so many things in life or in a specific moment or day that you can actually give your full attention and focus to. And once those things become outside of that range, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, there are other things that have to go. And I think that's what the devil does. He just fills our life with stuff. And it's not even bad things. It's just, I got to take the kids to this practice. I got to go grab food. Yeah. And suddenly I'm exhausted and I realize I never spent time talking with Jesus today. I never spent time in my Bible. I never did my devotions. We didn't pray as a family. Like, the things that are the most important get crowded out by the distractions. And that's where he gets us. That's where we lose.
Or even if you did spend time with Jesus or what, like, you gave it a half effort.
Yes. Yeah. And all the distractions came in so quickly that you just never thought about it again. Like, I think it's a continually, like, it's the slow drip of constantly staying focused. Because I think the devil has gotten really, really good at that strategy in the culture that we're in today.
Tons of people would claim that they are ADHD, which is definitely a thing in our culture right now. But we do it to ourselves.
Yes, we do.
Honestly, what you're talking about is exactly what I feel like sometimes when I'm praying personally. Yeah. Is that I'm
glad to hear that you do that.
Pray.
I was wondering. I thought that's fantastic.
I thought I was contractually obligated to do that at Cosmos. Is that not true?
That's funny.
No, but I can get started and I'm going down a path. But man, it's so easy to get distracted even in the middle of a prayer. And next thing I know, my brain is thinking about something else. I'm no longer praying.
Been there.
And, that's convicting on some level. At least I'm trying. At least there's effort being made. But it's again, focus is so hard. It's such a discipline. And it's definitely something we can continue to work on.
Yeah, not too long ago, I actually was having a conversation with my neighbor, especially in our neighborhood. We have a lot of young families. And we were talking about how we glamorize signing our kids up for things.
Right.
And like, we glamorize this busy schedule, like, oh, well, they're in travel ball and they're just not just playing the sport, but they're getting lessons on top of it. Or they're getting, at least in our school system, like athletics, they're a big deal. So to start young, I just hear neighbor to neighbor like, oh yeah, we're signing them up for that. We're signing them up for that. We're signing them up for that. And I was like, I can't handle any more of these signups. But but that's where, like, in my, I think I've recognized that. But my downfall, like we joked about it, like the devil will make me bad before he makes me busy. But it's true. Like, I will sin before I get busy.
Oh, that's interesting. So you guard that a little bit more closely. Like, I will not allow my schedule to be overrun. That's interesting.
And I'm sure there are other people that listen to this podcast. They're like, well, I don't have younger kids to sign up for things. And maybe they still keep busy, like in work or with family or grandkids. But like, what about the latest, juiciest gossip? Like, that's where my sin. I'm like, the devil presented me with this. I'm ready to go. So, but that's where, at least for me, or like being negative, or just gets my focus off of what God has for me and connecting people with Him.
Yeah. And when we fall into those traps that don't always seem obvious or even that bad, it's a slow drip that continues to build pressure, and it takes us off that path that God calls us to.
Can I even say, like, so at Crossroads, we have things going on at Crossroads a lot. There's a lot happening at our church over the course of a given week. Something almost every single night is going on. And as a staff person, I bear some responsibility to make some of those things happen. But I don't bear the responsibility to make all of them happen. And so that doesn't mean that I show up to every single thing. Even though it's a good thing. We wouldn't do it.
We wouldn't do it if it wasn't a good thing.
Right.
But I've got girls who I'm raising who are 3 and 1, and those girls will never have another dad. And so
that's right.
I protect my time. I'm very specific about what nights I'm available. And I just think that's important to remember too. Like, just because it's a good thing, even some of the best things, some of the things that are happening at our church maybe it doesn't require you to be there every single week. Now, everybody's different. Like not everybody's in my stage of life. There was a stage of life where I was a single guy and I could never have gotten enough time at church. Like there are people like that.
That's
and I'm so grateful for that too. But this season of my life, I've got to spend time with my family because nobody else can do that.
Yeah. You're the one that's speaking into your girls' lives and helping them point toward Jesus.
Correct.
And you get to be that one time, in the course of their life. And so, yes, that is highest priority. Yeah. And I think that having parameters and holding to those things, protecting your time, protecting your margins, it's effective across the board because we need margin in our lives. We need it physically. We need it emotionally. We need it spiritually. We need all of that in place in our lives to keep us focused and free from distraction. And so it's really important to stay healthy. Focus plays a huge part in that.
Yeah.
So I don't think we think about it enough. But the reality is the devil's trying to do his best to get us off that game. And I say this verse all the time. I've probably said it in this podcast 3 or 4 times already, but the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And however he can, he's going to try. And whether that's making you bad or making you busy, it doesn't matter. He's winning, and so we have to circle it. Like if he's winning, if I'm not focused, it's time to refocus, reevaluate. If there's some stuff in my life that's just, it's good, but it's not necessary, not right now, it's okay to say, all right, not right now. I'll push that off and focus my schedule where it needs to go for the good of your own health, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, creating that margin so that you can stay focused on what's more important.
There's a lot of factors in our lives, like people who live all over the world, economic factors, racial factors, like all kinds of different things that are different for everybody. But we all have 24 hours in a day.
Yes, we do.
Time is the one thing that is constant no matter what. And so the question is, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah. And I think as we come to a close in our podcast today, I think it's the bold move of saying, all right, my schedule has gotten crazy. It's time to cut out what is not necessary. What's the most important thing that I need to spend my time on? And then start building your schedule out from that. Most important things first. And if it's just not that important, why am I spending time on it? It doesn't have to happen. And so maybe that's the bold move this week. It's just reevaluating your relationship with Jesus, truly keeping your eyes fixed on him and just asking, what does that look like? And what do I need to rearrange to make that happen?
Pull out your calendar. Maybe it's on your phone. Maybe it's like a paper calendar that you've got at home, but like pull it out and make sure like the things that are the most important,
they're on there.
On Sunday morning, find a time, schedule a block of time for you and your family to be at church.
Yeah, or go to church.
Yeah. There's that. Spend time with each other as a family. Like, put that on your schedule. If that's what it takes, then do it. Do whatever it takes.
Sometimes that is what it takes to get in the habit and build it. I mean, absolutely. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that at all. I think that's the bold move.
I'm going to interject there. Or my sister is a really good person on calling out the stuff that she thinks are unnecessary in my life. So, because she'll be like, why? Why do you do that? Or why this? So maybe talk to someone like, what are the things that
they
you
can see our blind spots?
Yeah, that I'm like, you don't need that, or you don't need to act that way.
Yeah.
So talking with someone would help.
Sure, that's a good word. I think I just wrap up with that verse we talked about. Let's keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. He's the author. I love what it says in the New Living Translation. He's the initiator and perfecter of our faith. Like if we're going to live life to the fullest, let's stay focused on him and give him everything we have. Yeah, sure. I love it. Hey, if that's your bold move this week, make it. Reprioritize, figure it out, create the margin you need. Keep your eyes fixed on Jesus. Let's do this together. Hey, it's time to make that move. Let's see if I can butcher it again. Let's make some bold moves and be bold together because these are the bold times we've been called for. Be bold.
That is not what we talked about in advance.
Thanks for joining. When it's time to make your move, be bold. We'll see you next time.